G creation, Krishna, waves, body. So the first episode we called Reflections, and so like the first series, the first series of like exploring water and in that kind of sense and stuff. Second series out of it all, but so with that, it's kind of like we're reflecting on the previous episodes, the previous series in that kind of way. And what we found from nature, like by looking at it in that kind of way, exactly looking at the water and so on and such. So this one's called Waves and Body. So like having mind for the first one, so body for this one. So a spoiler for next episode will be called Spirit. And also waves, in referring to the following series, Waves of Love. So in terms of that, instead of like looking at the one wave, this time we're going to be looking at all the waves, all of them together, to see what nature's going to tell us from that. And body, did I mention that? Yeah, because it's like the anatomy series, well, Waves of Love. So the body of the ocean. So yeah, we've got this picture. It's a sun setting, and it shows you it's splitting as well, within the imperceivable light, which is another aspect of this episode. So I'll bring my mouse over to the right side. So again, there's a boat as well, for like reference of like size and scale, all that kind of thing, distance. You see, like sun, its reflection is all the way down here. You know what I mean? Like bottom of boats there, you can see where it tips in into the water there. So it looks like the reflection goes beyond the boat and goes through the boat as well. So it's like the boat becomes imperceivable because of the sunlight and the reflective properties of the water. That's a bird. So we've got the floating ships. So when we look at them through a photograph, it makes them look like they're really high. But when you consider that we're zoomed in, then it's not as it appears. It's not that same perspective in that kind of sense. And see, like these areas here where the water's smoother or catching the light, so it becomes more reflective, and then it's taking on the same colour of the sky, so you can't see where the water is anymore because it's becoming imperceivable. So all the imperceivable there, it's like fading out in that kind of way. So again, zoomed in. That's when you got a bit of cliff edge. So it's a bit further out. I couldn't find one which were like proper zoomed out, but so here we've got the boat, we've got the reflection, but again it's in this imperceivable light area. So but we can see like the water, the edge of it, and then we can see like more waves there. And so that wave is causing distortion to that light. If there's too many points of light, we can't see it, and it becomes just the blur of pure reflection. But when you get some disturbance, like a wave coming up, then that's going to cause that shift of light particles, so you can like see it. And so like the boat, you've got the reflection. The boat itself, that's not distorted, like the top half of it. That's fine, and this is just a reflection. So it's like that's where it is in terms of like, foreseeing where it is and stuff like. So you follow the water in that kind of way, and it from there, you know what I mean, and going across. So it's difficult to gauge in it. So if I went there, it's like to there, but if I'm like putting from a distance, or trying to follow those perspective lines, basically. So yeah, we can see, because there's that much activity going on, it moves quite fast, and then like because the light's catching it, and because it's so far away, it's too difficult for your eyes to distinguish what's happening. You know what I mean? Do you know like that thing about you drop the ruler in the hand, and you know what I mean? It's your reflex test to like see whether you can catch it. And most of us can't, because there's a slight delay to your vision, isn't there? Which Wing Chun exploits that, which is quite a good thing. But so the same thing is going off here, because it's moving so fast. The information is too much for your receptors in your eyes to pick up. Like I said, it's a long way away, so it's like that detail. It's really difficult for us to be able to perceive it. So instead, what happens, you get this like flickery movement, and it's a bit like flames, like on a fire, and like the flame can leave the rest of the flames, and then it fizzles out and disappears and stuff. And that's the same thing that's going on here in that kind of way. Like a little bit splashes up, and then it'll disappear. So each time a trough or a peak comes up, it's getting that opportunity to show itself. But if there's so much information, it just becomes really difficult to see. So I suppose in foreground you can see like a point of light there, point of light, all these tiny little points of lights, and because it becomes so much, like it's all converged into one little area, you know what I mean? Then it's like for your eyes to pick it up. Again, we're zoomed in, and it's far away and all that kind of stuff. And so we're seeing that effect, and we see it on building as well. See, like up here, yeah, all that distortion effect. It's on edge and everything. And so when you've got this here, it's difficult to tell what it is. It's becoming imperceivable in terms of how we can see it and stuff. And so it could be a boat, it could be another building, it could be trees. Yeah, but it's above this area as well, so this area of imperceivable light. But that's creating some difference, like a wave or a boat would. So you're catching some of it, but still it's so far away. And again, it also depends on conditions, like the heat and the water in the atmosphere, all that kind of thing. See here, we've got it again. You see how it chops and breaks, and then suddenly it's imperceivable. We can't see anything. It's all completely, until it gets to that horizon there. But so like it becomes a sky colour. So you could just think that will be horizon. If I want it in background, you might think that's the edge of the horizon. But it's not, because you've got there's all this distance until you get to until you get to that land as well. So like there's definitely water between that and there. And also with the imperceivable area, it shows you that pareidolia pattern, that reflection. So like part of the story of what nature wants to tell us and stuff. And we've done a lot of the reflection stuff, haven't we? But It's good that it's there in that kind of way. So I've got a video of wide awakes. I'll link his channel in description. Some good video footage that he's always put on. You see this boat in background. Oops. It's like the top half of it, like in distance. Yeah, right, so it's just after this boat, but you can see how, maybe a little bit further back. See reflection of a water splashing. So we're just coming out of the imperceivable light. Now this, you see the reflection. Oops. You see the reflection. So this part's real, the bottom part isn't. So you can see the reflection where the water's splashing and such. So you can see where the water level would be as it's travelling through it. So now you can see that it's no longer a mirage, you know? Or never were, in that kind of sense. A few good bits on this video, actually. Like choppiness at water. Maybe another bit. For example. How your eyes are trying to perceive that light. That bit of spoiled water. How it breaks, kind of thing. It's moving now. This is good too. Sometimes you see birds getting it at reflection point and then they'll become, like it'll reflect. But also like people jumping into water and stuff. Bird. So here we have somebody come off of this boat. So now they're in water, you can see reflection. So the mid section is where that person actually is. I found it. So we can see like where the visible light ends and then where it becomes imperceivable in that sense. And so like where the boats would be, you know, like the floating ships and stuff. And we have got this as an alternative aspect towards it. So you see what we're seeing right at tip. I'll zoom in. You can see where water is, like the distortion pattern. And so like the same patterns in there as well. And so that's like more of a water effect. Whereas the actual tip, that looks less distorted, a little bit blurry, but it's not choppy like the foreground in that kind of sense. So that's choppy, like the water's choppy. You can see water level there, but then that part looks alright. So again, that looks less choppy than below it. And then you get your water line. So that's like where the horizon actually is. So normally, if this condition weren't there, you might not see the horizon, you know, depending on conditions, like I say. So it's like that horizon is hidden in that imperceivable light. So you can see them areas where the ocean, it becomes smoother, or you know, so you get those where the areas reflect the sky more, where you get your reflections in. The rougher parts of the ocean don't tend to do the reflection, but because it's also far away, you know, that's like your horizon in that kind of sense. Is it like because it's zoomed in as well? You know, one sense is I've zoomed in, but the photographers have zoomed in as well. So it should be at eye level. It's like the trees here. We've stretched them up to the horizon line. It's a little bit higher, but that brown area is like, you know, underneath the trees, so it's included that bit. So again, it makes it look like water, but that's on it because it's reflecting the colour of the sky. So, you know, you're getting that imperceivable light. So again, you could zoom in and so that you thought that was the horizon, when really it's up here. Same again. So it's actually like eye level. But again, because we zoomed in, it, like, you know, outside of the camera, if you viewed it yourself, then it probably wouldn't be that high, you know. If we weren't zoomed in, we'd see a wide horizon. It's a low quality picture anyway. But like the birds below horizon, in the from the photographer's perspective. So with the sun, we've got. See, this is like the horizon. I'll move it up to there. That's where the sun's setting. And then this is like all the reflection. And because it's all imperceivable light, it's brought it this far down. If we look at that, it's green. So we've got a green sun. And it's the middle of the series as well. So it's appropriately placed. I couldn't find one in previous episodes. So we've got it there again. This is where your horizon is. So as the sun's setting, it's supposed to be the last thing it does, it'll flash green before it disappears, on a rare occasion, with right conditions and such. So this is its reflection. It's there again. You see all the choppiness of the water and atmosphere, a distorting image. But you got a good green there as well. So the sun's setting there, and that's its reflection. So there, you can't see the horizon, but it must be there because it's there on other pictures. So I'm assuming that's the sun, and this is reflection. It's difficult to tell because it's just a photograph, and if it were there, in that kind of sense. So we have that imperceivable light, how it reflects information. How it makes things imperceivable. It's like the place where the hidden live, in that kind of sense. The spiritual entities which are part of this realm and such. Alright, so like that one, and we see it's like choppiness to it and stuff. And we've got a video for this one as well. So you can see that pattern, like wave patterns. It's the same there as well. You can see it there. So you see like the sunlight catching on the surface of ocean. And then this is quite an expanse. From there is all ocean, and then it continues here where we can see it. And then this is all like, just a reflection within that imperceivable light zone. You can see bits. I'll link videos to it and such. So now we've got one of Try Thinking's videos. Even though he's anti-flat Earth, but it's still a good video. in terms of what it's showing and such. But now we see it differently. Now we know that like the sun is meeting like the limitation of where the ocean is. So it's like where the horizon is and all that kind of stuff. So like we've got this band, one there anyway. We might be even further. It's like I said, it's like, is that already like where it is there? And it's like, you know, that's already started to merge in that kind of sense. There's one side of it. If we watch through this part, we see that mushroom shape come through. I'll get my phone closer. It's still blurry. It's got quite a lot of detail on when I'll go through it normally. But, you know, you get the idea anyway. But, like, as we normally, like, twist the picture, I can't do that with video, but in terms of, like, seeing this in that way, so I'm going to have to try and do it as much as I can. And then we'll let it play in that kind of sense. So, in terms of seeing through a perceivable light, or imperceivable light, and seeing what that story tells us, it's like the story of two suns coming together and forming the birth or creation of a realm. I put it on faster. It's not playing. There we go. Not got much time until my phone cuts off. I like seeing it that way because it's like one coming from one side and one coming from the other side. So it's like seeing it in a horizontal way rather than that way, you know. So that's the horizontal. So I'm twisting it that way. It's like the story of two stars coming together. Until eventually it splits and becomes two again. Alright, I'm too short on time, so I'm going to make another episode for this one and include the ending. So, thank you for watching, everyone, and I'll catch you all in a bit.